listening to Ring Chronicles with Lance Vaughn and Glenn Ritchie.
All right, we're back on another episode of the Jerry Blackwell Appreciation Society.
Okay, nobody's gonna know what we're talking about if this is the first.
Yeah.
So we got so much Jerry Blackwell hate. Not about hate about Jerry Blackwell. Jerry Blackwell love.
Yeah.
And people were upset that we didn't include Jerry Blackwell in our top 10 fat wrestlers video.
Right.
So we apologize to the Jerry Blackwell committee, appreciation committee, for that oversight. We will definitely
we'll do better next time.
We'll do better next time. The next time we do a top 10 fat wrestlers video, we will definitely look further into Jerry Blackwell.
We will consider Jerry Blackwell this time, but still probably not include him.
and definitely not include him number one.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
What is that?
I hope people like realize what the video's about, but I just don't think they are. I think it's too obscure. It's pretty much an inside joke now.
Yeah,
between us.
Yeah.
You know,
and the thing about it is, those people that made that comment listing off all these like wrestlers from like way long ago. Well, at least we did hit the old wrestling niche historian crowd.
We did. Apparently there's a decent amount of people that know who that guy is. And thinks he's the best fat wrestler ever. So great.
Better than Yokozuna, who was WWE champion twice. Better than Big Van Vader, who's held world championships on every continent.
Yes.
Like, basically.
Yep.
Aside from Antarctica. Basically. I mean, better than Dusty Rhodes, former NWA champion.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
And has contributed to wrestling, even past his retirement.
Yeah.
Jerry Blackwell, folks.
If anybody's watching or listening and you want to check this out, it's titled Jerry Blackwell Appreciation Committee. And it's from our last podcast episode. And I realized this should be its own video because it was
it was a lot.
Yeah, like before I trimmed it down, it was like 10 minutes.
Wow.
And most of it was us laughing.
Wow. Do we got any new Lariat of Hate?
Actually, no.
It's been quiet.
Yeah. There was one comment on the Fat Wrestlers video, but it wasn't really hate, but it was a bad take, if you want to hear it.
Sure.
All right, so I may as well just go in.
This is the Lariat of Hate.
All right, so, and this was the only comment. He said, not bad, but really missed with Boss Man and an honorable mention, Manny Fernandez.
Manny Fernandez.
Manny Fernandez.
That's a name I have not heard in a very long time.
You're going to have to explain to me who that is.
So I got to look up who that is. I've heard that name before. Let's.
Really missed out with Boss Man and Manny Fernandez.
Was he that fat though? I don't get the. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't.
The Manny Fernandez wrestler that I'm seeing is not fat at all.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I've heard the name. Says he was trained by Terry Funk.
He must have had him confused with somebody else.
Fought in Florida.
Yeah, not fat at all. Looked like he was in good shape at one point.
Played football. Yeah, played American football for West Texas A&M University. Yeah, that's Manny Fernandez. I don't know why they got him as being fat.
Yeah.
So I don't get that one.
Again, I think people are missing the whole point of the video. I don't know how you can miss it.
Oh
it's titled Fat Wrestlers of All Time. I don't know.
I did consider the Boss Man. He never held a major championship though.
Right. I'm hesitant to throw him in the fat category though.
I would say that he was,
I don't know.
especially in the 80s. He was bigger.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
I know him from the late 90s.
Actually,
Yeah.
even brought up that I look like a young boss man.
A young Ray Trailer.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture of a young big boss man. Yeah, see? Can you see the resemblance there?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yeah. So, if anybody had a reason to include Big Boss Man, it'd be his little cousin.
Right.
But yeah, he said that, and I was like, what is talking about? Then I started
Guy that
looking
likes
up.
Vince Russo.
Yeah, shit.
That's going to be like at least 3 bleeps right there.
Yeah. The guy that likes Vince Russo, he told me that, and I was like, what is he talking about? And then I looked it up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, it looks like me in a mirror, and then, he got in a little bit better shape.
Yeah.
And, got older too. Maybe I'll look like that when I get older. Who knows? But, young big boss man and I do look similar.
Yeah. So, that's all for the Lariat of Hate. It wasn't even really hate.
No.
It was just
a Manny Fernandez right now.
Manny Fernandez. What the hell? That's, all right. I mentioned
Hall of Fame, or
I wanted to go over AEW first.
Okay, let's do that.
We had a couple of segments on Dynamite this past week. I wanted to go over. You said you watched Mercedes Moné's debut.
Yeah, I actually did.
And what did you think of that? But
so I got a lot of thoughts on that. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to admit a bias that I have here.
Right.
I'm really struggling with this, with the Mercedes being in AEW.
Okay.
Because I don't like AEW. I'm just not a fan. I don't like the flips and the craziness and the Young Bucks and. I'm just not into all that stuff. I don't like the way they book things, and I don't like the creative is just terrible. But Mercedes Moné she might be my favorite wrestler. Okay.
Like currently?
Period. Yeah. Of now.
Of
now.
now.
If we're going to talk about all time, we're talking about Ric Flair.
Right.
It's like I don't even have to even think about it.
Right.
There's no maybe about it.
Right.
It's Ric Flair.
Right. But present day, it's Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
AKA Sasha Banks.
And that's what I know her best as. Okay. So I had some mixed feelings about this whole situation, Apparently, Mercedes has already gotten some controversy because, like, a couple days prior to this debut, she made a comment saying that, she probably will return to the WWE. Mm-hmm. First of all, she's working you, okay? Right. I mean, now with that being said, any wrestler that's smart would always leave the door open to return to the WWE at some point. Mm-hmm. So, on one hand, she's telling the truth, but on the other hand, she was about to debut in AEW, although everybody that reads the internet knew about it.
Months ago.
Yeah, she was trying to, keep a low profile about it because that's what she's supposed to do when you're doing a quote-unquote surprise debut. She wasn't trying to give it away that she's going to AEW in just a couple of days. That's what she was trying to do.
Even CM Punk did that. Like within a week of him debuting, he said that he was doing some other thing that Friday night.
Yeah, and the WWE were like, we're not interested in the guy. So the WWE's like, we don't even want him, And then he shows up and everything. I've always loved Mercedes. A lot of people haven't forgiven her for injuring Paige. It was a rough kick. I saw it.
Okay, tell me about that. I haven't seen that.
So
just a stiff kick, or
if I remember the video correctly, Mercedes Sasha Banks was in the corner. Paige's back was turned to her. Sasha lifted herself up and did a double kick to the back of Paige.
Oh, and that's how she hurt her back.
And I think that I don't know what the communication was like at that time, but it was a stiff kick. Number one, number two, was Paige aware that she was going to do it? Because it's kind of like if you know that you're going to get kicked in the back, you can brace yourself for it, and respond. But if you get pelted in the back, it can do more damage. Guys, this is professional wrestling. People get hurt. This is real life. This isn't just, fairy tales where people just can go out there and play tiddlywinks and video games and and do wrestle little girls and blow up dolls and stuff like that. This is wrestling. So people get hurt sometimes in wrestling, unfortunately. And I'm sure that Sasha felt really bad. Are we going to throw away an entire career, 7-time champion history, one of the pioneers of women's wrestling in the women's revolution, one of the 4 horsewomen? She's a minority, so we need that. We need more of that. So she's a black woman. How often has that happened in wrestling prior to Sasha Banks? Not terribly often. There are some examples. There's a lot of reasons that I'm for Mercedes. She's wrestled in a lot of first Hell in the Cell and things like that. She's been in first. Well, there was a women's tag team title way back in the day in the 80s, but I know the Jerry Blackwell fans might say that ain't way back in the day. All right, enough of that. But anyways, so there was a tag team championship for women, but I would say the women's belt, even though it's been poorly booked now, and that's part of the reason why she left, the women's championship is a lot more prestigious than that championship was, in my opinion. It needs better booking, but it's there. She was the first, tag team champion with Bayley. So she was a lot of first in women's wrestling, okay? So I understand why she's doing what she's doing. And what I think it is, this is just my thoughts. I have nothing to back this up. Just as somebody who's observed her throughout her career, I feel like because a lot of the heat that she's gotten in her career, she feels like she still has something to prove.
Okay.
And so she's going over to Japan, and now she's in AEW. In AEW, she can still wrestle wherever she wants to go. She can go to Ring of Honor. She can go to Mexico. She can go back to Japan. I feel like she still has something to prove. Here's the thing that I'm worried about, though. The AEW fans will turn on somebody quick, like they did with Cody.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
She debuted in her hometown, Boston. Of course, she's going to get a great reaction. What kind of reaction is she going to get elsewhere in AEW?
Right.
I know they got Bryan Danielson. I know they got Edge. But arguably, those two guys are in the twilight of their career, especially in the case of Edge.
Yeah.
Okay. Mercedes is
Still prime.
peak career.
Yeah.
So we have a peak career WWE person basically coming to AEW.
Right.
Are the AEW fans going to accept her? I don't know. They might not. And she got a lot of heat from WWE fans. She's a controversial person.
I was about to ask you about that because I've already seen comments comparing her to CM Punk, calling her a cancer.
Well, yeah. I don't think that. I think those people are idiots.
Okay. But where does it come from?
Well, for one, she does controversial things, like when she said that she'd go back to WWE.
Okay.
She's like a controversy sponge. Okay. People still haven't forgiven her for hurting Paige.
Right.
Okay.
Now she's back in a company with Paige.
Yeah.
There's something there.
So
you could roll with that.
Right. People have already commented about that.
Yeah.
Like, was Paige consulted about this? And what are her feelings about it?
I mean, that's a great jumping off point for a story.
Yeah.
For a nice feud, So if Paige is cool with it, then, they could probably make some money off that.
They could if they allow it.
Yeah.
So also her
Saraya. I should say Saraya.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna be honest, she's got a little bit of an attitude about herself.
Okay.
And
that's not necessarily bad, though.
That's not necessarily bad.
But does she rub people the wrong way with it?
She does.
Okay.
And she's not the friendliest towards the fans.
Okay.
Now, I understand it to a little bit.
Okay.
Have you seen those awkward pictures of like fans groping Soraya and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when she takes a picture with a male fan, she makes them stand like 6 feet away from her.
Oh, I don't blame her.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like stand on the other side of the table type of thing.
Yeah. And fans have approached her in public, and you could tell she's got a pissed off look on her face.
Yeah.
She's not friendly.
Some celebrities are like that. They don't want to be messed with in their private life.
She doesn't want to be bothered.
Yeah, right. And that's why if I see any celebrity in public, I don't mess with them.
You remember when me and you and the guy that likes Vince Russo met Kevin Nash?
Yeah. God damn you, motherfucker. No, I don't remember that.
I'll remind you. You were there. So me and the guy that likes Vince Russo and another friend that shall not be named, we're at Waffle House.
Yeah, as usual.
And at 2 in the morning on, I think school was over at this point.
Yeah.
Or it was about to be over. School was over. Like I just graduated high school, or was about to graduate something or another.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it was right at the end of the year.
Right at the end of the year. Yeah. We tried to get Lance to get up at night. Even knocked on his window. He wouldn't stir. So we left him there. And went and met Kevin Nash at Waffle House.
If you would have just said we're going to meet Kevin Nash, I'd have got up. Goddamn.
So Kevin Nash is sitting in the restaurant. He's 2 booths away from us. Of course, I'm marking out. What's also kind of funny is when he walked in the restaurant, I said, I'm certainly glad that it's Kevin Nash. Halfway realizing it was Kevin Nash. And then it was Kevin Nash.
Right.
Like, it just looked like Kevin Nash, When I saw him in the car, I made a joke that it looked like The Undertaker.
Okay.
Because, it's a big guy with long hair.
Right.
And then he gets in the restaurant, I'm like, certainly glad it's Kevin Nash. So the guy that likes Vince Russo was pretty smart in saying, hey, like, don't, because we got real
quiet.
Yeah, he's
Odd.
like, don't bother him while he's trying to eat.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And this other guy from the other side of the restaurant goes over there, and he's like, "You look like that wrestler Kevin Nash," and Kevin Nash is like, "I never heard of him." And so me and the guy that likes Vince Russo and our other friend is sitting in the restaurant, and we're just talking about wrestling because Kevin Nash is like, 2 booths away from us.
Right.
Plus, talking about wrestling wasn't, unheard of.
Right. Yeah.
Discussion. And Kevin Nash just asks us, what do you think of the product?
Now, we should probably set the timeline a little bit here. This was when he had recently returned with the NWO.
Yeah, in WWE.
Right.
Yeah, so, WCW was dead.
Yeah, right.
He was.
This was like mid 2002.
Yeah. He wasn't a fan of what was going on.
Right.
We felt the same way. We felt exactly the same way that Kevin Nash felt about it. And Kevin Nash was completely polite to us. He signed us autographs. In all the years since then, anytime that the subject of fan interaction has come up with Kevin Nash, with anybody on the internet, all I ever hear is how much of an asshole he was. And it's just so strange to me that's
because they were probably an asshole first.
Yeah, they were probably were. They were. The guy was coming in there.
Just because he's a celebrity doesn't mean you just run right up to him and go, "Hey!"
Yeah. It was 2:00 in the morning. The guy was probably tired. He was. I think at the time he lived like Daytona or whatever.
Yeah.
So he still had like a good 4 hours to go.
Yeah.
He was probably tired and exhausted and hungry,
right,
and just wanted some freaking Waffle House.
Right.
Now, looking back on it, I want to know how in the world does a guy like Kevin Nash, who stays in super good shape, eat Waffle House all the time? I need to know that secret. Well, I don't know if he eats it all the time. Maybe it was a rare thing. But
it was 2 in the morning. There was nothing else open.
It didn't look like it was his first time at a Waffle House, but he was there and was polite with us. But like you said, Lance, we didn't just rush over to where he's at and just while he's trying to eat his food.
Right.
Who wants to be bothered while they're eating their food?
Right.
So, I mean, the same thing is what I believe. I told the whole story to say I think that's why Sasha Banks acts the way she acts in public, is because she just simply wants to live her life and be left alone.
Right.
If you want to interact with Sasha or Mercedes Moné, it's going to take me forever to get adjusted to that. If you want to interact with her, go to an official signing and stand 6 feet away from her if you're a dude. And she'll be more than happy to sign an autograph and take a picture with you as long as you're 6 feet away.
Yeah.
You creepy bastards. So, that's just how she is. And, the thing is, that's also part of her character. She's not do-gooder baby face. Even when she's a face, she's a tweener. She's not, Ricky Steamboat. She's not going out there with her family.
Right.
Okay, her whole gimmick, as you see in AEW, is that she's the CEO. And that's just because they can't say she's the boss.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. So I'm assuming in WWE she was the boss, Sasha Banks.
She was that was like they didn't call her the boss, Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
But she was sometimes referred to as the boss.
Okay, all right.
I had mixed feelings about the CEO thing, and the music was kind of weird. It wasn't great music. CEO.
The crowd was hot, though.
The crowd was hot.
God damn, the crowd was hot.
The crowd was hot, but once again, it was Boston.
It was.
So what's it going to happen when they're in Midland, Texas, or something?
We'll find out.
Some small arena,
but I mean,
it's halfway filled.
If you're, the way I look at it, if you're watching that on TV and you see that crowd reaction and everybody's into that chant, a lot of people want to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was a smart decision.
So when they go to a show, they're going to want to play along with that and be a part of it. They feel like they're a part of something. So I feel like it's going to catch on, but we'll see.
We'll see. I hope it does. I hope it does for her. I hope that she's successful in AEW, but I don't want her to be too successful. I want her to grow tired of it. And after she wins a few championship victories and decide, okay, I want to go back to WWE now.
Right.
That's where I want her to be. But I may have to go get Sling again, Sling TV, and start watching it just for Sasha Banks.
I gave you the credentials from DirecTV.
Yeah, but I live an honest life.
Let it be said, Glenn does not steal TV.
So I'm paranoid, man. That's the last thing I need is the government to come in and rush my house for stealing television. The DirecTV patrol.
Oh, man. That's why you didn't watch the pay-per-view when I gave you my Bleacher Report.
Yeah. So.
All right.
So, yeah, that's the deal. I may have to watch.
Yeah, I think so. And so, carrying on with AEW, I really wanted to bring up that and also Will Ospreay's promo. And we could talk about some other things, but I feel like AEW is just doing so much better right now.
Oh, well, that's good.
I don't think I'm as biased to AEW as you are to WWE.
Okay.
But I am biased. But I feel like a lot of things are clicking at the same time. Okay? Now, we could go on about a couple other things. You mentioned the Young Bucks. You don't like the Young Bucks.
I don't like the Young Bucks.
What they are doing right now, I think, is the best thing they can do. They've really leaned into the VP gimmick they're doing. So everybody thinks they're asshole VPs and don't deserve to be VPs, and they are playing it up. I've really enjoyed it. They're walking around. They're walking around finding people, just being dick bosses. And they're wearing suits, and their music has changed to this like classical music or something.
That is a big change from the normal routine.
Right. So I don't think they are ever going to be as storyline heavy as WWE is, and I think that's what it needs to be. Honestly, I don't think they need to be a copycat of WWE. They've always been wrestling first, and I want them to keep that. If the storylines aren't as good, I'm fine with that because I enjoy the matches for the most part. But the one guy I wanted to talk about the most was Will Ospreay because I assumed that he was a guy that was like all wrestling and no character, no promo skills or anything.
Okay.
So that's why I want to play this promo from Wednesday. He did a promo in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and I'll go ahead and play it now. And this is Glenn's first time hearing it.
First time hearing it. I didn't watch the show. I just watched the clip of Mercedes because I love Mercedes.
All right. So, yeah, this is Will. It's about 4 minutes, give or take. But, yeah, Will Ospreay's in-ring promo with Tony Schiavone. About 4 minutes.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But coming up now, it's you and Bryan Danielson.
They're in Boston. They're not in England, and the crowd's hot.
Yeah.
On April 21st.
Mate, so I rocked up today, and they said, what do you want to do? I said, send Schiavone out there. I want to go talk to the beautiful people of Boston. And on April 21st, this match means so much to me. My entire career, all I've wanted to do is emulate the career of Bryan Danielson. Whether it was his stuff that he done in Japan or his enthusiasm for the independence, whether it was 50 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, Bryan Danielson left it in the ring every single night for all of these beautiful people. And I'm glad Bryan Danielson is a fan of my work, because he said, I have been staring down the lens of a Japanese camera saying I am the best wrestler in the world. Bryan Danielson looked at me and said, prove it.
I'm glad he likes wrestling in front of 500 people. That's what he's going to be doing at AEW.
Allow me to remind you what you said once upon a time. You see, after my match with Kenny Omega, everybody was talking about one move. The Tiger Driver 91. Where I butterfly my opponent's arms, lift him up, and drop him on his knockers. No regard for the body, bruv. And you know what the most violent man for live TV said? He said, was it worth it? Speaking as the guy that was in the match, with blood pissing out of my head, and every single time my heart beat, more blood came out. And standing as the winner, Bryan Danielson, I can say, yeah, bruv, it was worth it. You see, Bryan, while I respect you, this match on April the 21st means a hell of a lot more to me, and it means a lot to a lot of people around the world. Do you know why? Because the moment I step foot in AEW, there has been a phrase that has been following me and following everyone, and I believe all of you guys know it because Tony Khan knows it, the boys and girls in the back know it, and everyone here knows the phrase. Restore the feeling. Bruv, I am the feeling. This match is about reminding people what AEW is. You put the best wrestler in the world against the best wrestler of the 21st century, and only one man walks out a winner. And let me tell you this. The one thing I have learned from Bryan Danielson is that I can have respect for the man that stands opposite me. But the moment I walk into this ring, it's your life or it's mine, and I don't plan on dying, bruv. April 21st, this is about finding out who is the best wrestler in the world. And let me tell you, because my name is Will Ospreay, and I am on another level.
April 21st cannot get here quick.
Well, he sold the match.
Yeah.
Not a bad person to put him up against.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, you could certainly put him in a match with much worse people.
Right. But that promo took me by surprise. I didn't know he could pull it off.
Well, I mean, you don't know. He was in Japan, and so I mean, how I know they do promos in Japan, but I mean, he obviously doesn't speak. Well, I don't know. He might speak Japanese. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't Kenny Omega speak Japanese?
I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he does. I don't know, but most of us in America haven't. I mean, unless you've watched New Japan, I mean, we haven't seen
Right.
him. Aside from maybe like internet clips.
Right.
So, I guess it's going to be an exposure of who he is and what he is, and we're going to find out. I expect Bryan Danielson to put him over.
Probably. Yeah. Because I mean, that's another guy that's in his prime, and he's in AEW now. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like everything's clicking right now. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. How's what's her name?
Julia Hart.
Julia Hart.
God damn.
Yeah, how's Julia Hart doing?
Okay, so you didn't watch the end of the episode.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. So Julia Hart and Sky Blue were heels. Okay, and I think it was a match between.
Now, why is Sky Blue a heel? Is it because she's spitting in her face again with the mist?
Well, not again, but she spit in her face.
Oh, okay.
So she's
okay.
Julia
she's still
Hart.
ill.
Yeah. So
No, I'm talking about like why is Sky Blue a heel? I know why Julia Hart's a heel. She had the mist.
Julia Hart spit in Sky Blue's face.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. Because she received the power of
The
the
mist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of funny. There's things I don't accept in AEW, but that's one of them that I do accept wholeheartedly.
Well, mist goes back a long time.
The mist goes back a long time. So, whatever you say that it does, I just accept it.
Right. But yeah, Julia Hart misted Sky Blue, so Sky Blue's a heel now.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah.
anyway, I can't remember who had the match. I think it was Julia Hart against Willow Nightingale. Earlier in the night, you heard Mercedes Moné's promo. She mentioned Willow Nightingale, and they have history. Mm-hmm. You know what the history is?
No, I don't.
It's kind of weak. I thought it was going to be more than this. So there was a tournament in New Japan for the first Women's Strong Championship. Okay. It was Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné in the finals.
Oh.
But that's it. They had one match. That's their history.
Okay.
So during her promo, you kind of felt like she was alluding to, maybe there was going to be a storyline or something between those two. So anyway, after the match, Julia Hart and Sky Blue start beating up Willow Nightingale, and then Mercedes comes down to make the save, and she takes out Sky Blue, and then her and Julia Hart go back and forth a little bit. So I don't know if Julia Hart's going to be her first feud or what, but I like where it was going. Well, like I said, I like what they're doing right now, but we'll see. I really think they need MJF back, though.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been kind of alluding to him returning because they started like actually showing him on TV. Like,
How long's he been
clips of
gone
him
now?
Since New Year's.
I thought it's been a while, so
Yeah.
it's been a few months.
Mm-hmm. And he just did another movie, too. Yeah.
Better watch out. Those AEW neckbeards don't like that.
But yeah, I like where it's going now. I think wrestling is about as healthy as it's been, at least since AEW showed up. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I mean, AEW right now, to be honest with you, it's so hot that I'm even considering watching it. You know? You got Mercedes Moné, and you got all this other stuff going on that's interesting.
Yep.
I mean, like, I don't know about paying money for it, but I certainly wouldn't not avoid watching
Yeah.
Osprey,
Osprey. Yeah.
and
Danielson.
Yeah. I would not avoid watching that.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean,
It's got to be another 7-star match, man.
Oh my God. Oh God.
I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but remember I told you from Revolution, the pay-per-view, that the Osprey and Takeshita match was probably going to be another 7-star match.
Yeah. What was it?
It was 5 3/4.
Dear God. So better than Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair.
Obviously.
Better than anything the WWE did for like decades.
Yeah.
That match. I haven't seen the match, to be fair.
Yeah.
But something tells me I'm not going to think it's better than Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair.
Right.
Talking about we've been accused of having a recency bias. Dave Meltzer has a recency, wrestling bias.
Right.
But he claims that it's getting better. No, it's not. I mean, gosh, I don't know. Don't even get me started on Dave Meltzer. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start watching it in AEW again. It's picking up. It's getting interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want anything. I don't wish harm on AEW. If they're doing well, they're doing well. Period.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I haven't watched it, and I haven't even watched the clip. But if I had to pick between this past week's Dynamite and this past week's SmackDown, I would watch Dynamite because apparently The Rock did another in-ring concert on SmackDown this week.
What?
Yeah, playing the piano, singing. Remember when he did that as Heel Rock in 2003? He did that again.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right. So
Hall of Fame.
Should we talk about the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So how do we want to do this?
So we don't know who else is going to be in the Hall of Fame. We just know who's currently confirmed for the Hall of Fame.
For this year at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. So Paul Heyman is the first one that's listed. Wikipedia lists him as a former manager and commentator for the American Wrestling Association and World Championship Wrestling. So I like that they point out it's not just ECW and WWE and stuff.
Right.
Owner and operator of the former Extreme Championship Wrestling promotion, which was founded in Philadelphia, which is the home of WrestleMania 40. Former on-screen general manager of WWE SmackDown brand, former color commentator for Monday Night Raw, manager of Big Show, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Rob Van Dam, Kurt Angle, Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Roman Reigns, and the Bloodline stable, among others. The thing about Paul Heyman is I've known of Paul Heyman the entire time I watched wrestling since I was a small child because, once again, I started off with WCW and he managed the Dangerous Alliance, which included Steve Austin.
Okay.
So, it's kind of interesting how Heyman's had an influence on Austin's career, even from the very beginning. So you're talking about one of the most influential guys in wrestling history. Paul Heyman is not a good person. Apparently, Tommy Dreamer was so pissed off at the guy that he had plans to kill him.
Okay.
He shorted people on money, but he's very modest and turned down multiple Hall of Fame requests.
Okay. Very modest.
Very modest. Okay. Yeah, he's cheated people out of tons of money and ECW. My goodness. Now, if ECW was around now, I probably would bash the tar out of it. But the teenage 16-year-old me liked all the stuff that was in it.
Yeah.
Okay, I soaked it all up. We watched pay-per-views. I saw New Jack bust his brain. I saw all of it.
Yeah.
Back then, I loved it. It was great. All of it influenced WCW and the WWE. it brought hardcore wrestling into the mainstream. I mean, now there's still a wrestling pay-per-view, the WWE Extreme Rules. It's the ECW rules.
Right.
Basically. It's kind of weird, because in ECW, unless it was a Falls Count Anywhere match, you could do anything you wanted, but you still had to fight in the ring.
Right.
Which was believe it or not, back then a lot of times when there was no rules matches, it was Falls Count Anywhere a lot. So to keep it in the ring, I think was kind of interesting. It pushed for innovation. But not only did in ECW did you have hardcore stuff, but you had Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, and a lot of the high flying stuff, and then you had Rob Van Dam, and I mean, imagine wrestling without Rob Van Dam.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the ECW nurtured him. We had moves like the Van Daminator, the Van Terminator. I mean, and that even influenced Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing the Van Terminator basically.
Yep.
They just called it Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
So by the way, how in the world does Shane McMahon get the ability to jump like Rob Van Dam? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, ECW. I mean, we had New Jack.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It was crazy. So Paul Heyman definitely, in my opinion, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And he's had multiple careers in one career. He had his WCW stuff. He did the ECW stuff. Then he went to WWE. As I like to say, he was born talking. I mean, he was born jacking his jaws, talking. And that's, you just give I saw a kayfabe news article that Paul Heyman was sent back to developmental to work on his mic skills. Yeah. So,
oh man,
because the guy can do a promo. My goodness.
Hasn't Jim Cornette confessed that he's the only guy that can talk better than him? Or something along those lines?
I haven't seen that, but I don't know if you can compare those two. Okay. I mean, it's just both of them came out of the womb talking.
Yeah. I could have swore I heard that, or I heard somebody say that he said that, but I can't remember exactly.
The next entry is Bull Nakano. Now, admittedly, I'm not as familiar with her Japan stuff, so I'm reading from Wrestling Inc. right here. Says that she was a trainee of the legendary All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Dojo. She was forced to retire young at 29 due to injuries, but she fought against all-time greats in Japan. She also became a champion for CMLL, and here's the big thing that she did. She went to the WWE in the 90s and defeated Alundra Blaze for the WWF Women's World Championship. Okay. So think about now how difficult it is for Japanese wrestlers to get over in the WWE. It's a little bit better for the women's wrestlers because you got Asuka and Kairi and Io. And Asuka and Io have been champions. Bull Nakano did that in the 90s. She became a champion in the WWF. We've talked about the history of the WWF. Has never been friendly, especially in the historically, with Japanese wrestlers.
Right.
She became a champion in the WWE.
Yeah.
Big deal. So, for people wondering about that, she was brought in because Alundra Blaze complained about the lack of talent in American women's wrestling.
Okay.
To defend her title. So they brought in Bull Nakano and
then took the title off of her.
Yeah. And there was one match between the two. I want to say maybe, I can't remember when it was. It might have been WrestleMania. But there was one match that almost got match of the year. between the two. So there you go. The U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. Barry Windham lives about 30 minutes from us.
Yeah. That's right.
In the swamp.
In the swamp, yeah.
Yeah. A bit of an odd choice to have them inducted together as the U.S. Express, but they did win the WWF Tag Team Championships together in the 80s. Of course, they it's kind of interesting. We lost Bray Wyatt recently. This is the uncle and father of the late Bray Wyatt. And so, according to Wrestling Inc., from 83 to 86, they were amongst the best tag teams in the world. They winning the NWA United States Tag Team Championship 4 times while working in Florida. And they won the WWE Tag Team titles 1984, 1985. I mostly know them for their singles runs and as well as Mike Rotunda in Money Inc. with Ted DiBiase. But, they decided to induct them together. And I guess, they could have done Mike Rotunda by himself, but, they wanted to get Barry in there too.
Right.
I think it's great choices. So Barry Windham has accomplished quite a lot in wrestling. And there's not a whole lot of information about the fact that he lives in Homerville, Georgia.
Yeah.
But we know about it.
Right.
Barry Windham, as far as championships, a lot of championships in Florida, World Championship Wrestling. He was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion at one point. That was later, though, not like in the old school NWA. So what year was that? Gosh, 1993. So around the time I started watching wrestling, Barry Windham was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion before it became the WCW International Championship.
Okay.
Muhammad Ali.
Okay, so I noticed that Muhammad Ali is in 2K24, and I didn't understand it.
Let me explain it to you.
Okay.
First of all, there's a celebrity wing to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But Muhammad Ali has actually had some interactions with wrestling in the past.
Okay.
So, first of all, he's probably the best boxer of all time. I mean, how you gonna compare to that?
Right.
He was inspired by pro wrestling. He had this cocky persona. He was inspired by Gorgeous George. Okay. He fought Antonio Inoki in an exhibition match. He did angles with Gorilla Monsoon in WWF or whatever. I don't know when that was. I don't remember that. And famously, he was one of 2 referees for the main event of the first WrestleMania.
Okay.
He served as a guest of honor for the Collision in Korea in 1995.
Okay.
So, if nobody knows what that. Oh gosh, I could do a whole thing. The Collision in Korea. You need to watch the Dark Side of the Ring for the Collision in Korea.
Okay.
It is freaking insane.
Okay.
So Antonio Inoki was a politician, famous wrestler, and also involved with the Yakuza, from my understanding. Wanted to do something diplomatic in North Korea.
Okay.
So he got in touch with Eric Bischoff, and they had Antonio's promotion and WCW do a joint thing, the Collision in Korea. They had Ric Flair against Antonio Inoki in the main event. Okay. And they had a bunch of other guys in WCW. It was a great big thing. The fans in North Korea had never seen professional wrestling before.
Okay.
They had no idea what they were watching. It's the largest, to this day, it's the largest indoor attendance record wrestling history. Okay, let me look up the numbers here. So, you don't know about this?
I don't know about. Well, I know about the event, but I don't know about these details. I know they did a show there, And I know that there
it
were,
was more than just a show.
and that I know that there were like complications.
Yeah, like they wanted Ric Flair to like denounce America and stuff like that. Yeah. It was.
I didn't know Muhammad Ali was a part of it.
Yeah, so it was officially known as the Pyongyang International Sports and Culture Festival for Peace.
Okay.
It was jointly produced by New Japan Pro Wrestling and World Championship Pro Wrestling at the Mayday Stadium in Pyongyang. It's the first ever event hosted by an American professional wrestling event or promotion in the country. Antonio Inoki was trained by a wrestler of Korean ancestry.
Okay.
So that was so the second day of the event holds the record for the largest ever attendance for a wrestling event with a claimed audience of 190,000.
Okay. And that's according to who?
I guess the North Korean government.
Right.
Do you want to trust that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Here's the deal, though. Look at the footage.
Okay.
There's a lot of people in that audience.
So first thing I would need to do is research that stadium a little bit and find out what the capacity is.
The first day holds the record for the second largest ever attendance with a claimed audience of 165,000. Okay, here comes Dave Meltzer. American wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer reported different attendance numbers of 150,000 and 165,000 respectively. Day 2 of the event generated a live gate of 7,500,000, which is equivalent to like 14 million in 2022. And day 2 event generated 8,500,000. So, which were two of the biggest live gates ever in wrestling. And yeah. It's one of the few WCW pay-per-views not available for streaming on the WWE network. And it was one of the topics. But yeah, they wanted Ric Flair to say bad stuff about America before he left the country, and he declined.
Yeah.
So, it's you really got to watch the Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
And listen to what Ric Flair had to say about it. It's just amazing. And I think one of the wrestlers was complaining about something about North Korea, and like they had his room tapped and everything, and all this other kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, you hear about that stuff in Russia too.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Thunderbolt Patterson.
Yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with him, even though it was before my time. I'm familiar with him just because he was a big name in Georgia in the territory system.
Right.
Okay. He mostly wrestled down here in Georgia, Florida, the South.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And he was a big name in the 70s. All right. I'm a bit surprised that they picked Thunderbolt Patterson.
Okay.
He spoke out about racism in wrestling. Which, the WWE hasn't been the best at.
Right.
Maybe that's why they're picking him. But he also advocated for a wrestlers' union. Let's face it, promoters treat wrestlers terrible.
Yeah.
Compared to any other athlete, wrestlers get the worst treatment. Aside from maybe college sports athletes. They get used for money.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get it worse than wrestlers, but wrestlers are next.
Yeah.
Okay. And Thunderbolt Patterson wanted to have a wrestlers union. That was not really appreciated by the NWA, which, as y'all have heard me say before, was the big company at the time. So he was blacklisted from a lot of stuff in the NWA because of that. But Thunderbolt Patterson, it's a good Hall of Fame year for Georgia because we got Barry Windham, who we claim now in Georgia. He's lived here for decades.
Yeah.
And we have Thunderbolt Patterson, who's from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Or built from Atlanta, at least, entering the Hall of Fame. And that's pretty much all we know about the Hall of Fame so far this year.
So far. All right.
Yeah, watch The Dark Side of the Ring, Collision of Korea. That's crazy. I almost want to rewatch it now. It's just, it's nuts.
How does it compare to The Flight from Hell? Or is it different?
It's different.
Okay.
But the what is it, airplane ride from hell or whatever?
Yeah.
that takes the cake over everything.
Okay, all right.
And some people might say that I'm a bad person for saying Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler of all time because of the plane ride from hell.
Right.
Well, I'm not including the plane ride from hell into his wrestling. I'm just looking at it from sheerly a wrestling perspective.
Right.
I'm not making comments about the personal morality of Ric Flair.
Right.
That'd be another discussion.
Right. It's
Where
different.
I'm not having that discussion right now.
No, we're not.
I'm talking about Ric Flair,
Yeah.
the wrestler, you know. And I will admit it. I think he did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's another discussion.
Right.
That's another discussion.
Right.
I will not defend that
Yeah.
because he did it.
Right.
I mean, it just sounds like something Ric Flair would do.
Yep.
I have to admit.
Yep.
I've struggled with that, Lance. I've struggled with it. That's enough. That's all I'm going to say about it before I get heartburn.
What about diarrhea? Did that ever clear up?
Yeah, it cleared up.
All right. So next week, I guess that's going to be our WrestleMania special.
Yeah, we're going to talk about WrestleMania.
Okay, and probably a little bit more of the Hall of Fame, assuming there's
If we
gonna be
find out
names.
more,
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay. All right. So I guess that'll wrap it up now. We're just over an hour. So we'll see everyone next time.
Later, folks. Bye.